Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Tracy Jones, president of Tremendous Leadership. And today I have our newest tremendous author, Phil Hess, with us to talk about the new release of his book. It's the second one in our Tremendous Edge series, and it's called Ask Me Anything, Interview Successfully and Get the Job You Want. Phil, I'm so excited to have you on the interview today.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be with you too. It's a real honor for me.
All right, so Phil, this is a really hot topic. You know, the job market is open. There are more jobs than there are available people. And so this book is really critical for people about to enter the job market. So can you tell us, I'm looking at you with your fabulous suit on and your background. Obviously, you've done very well, and you obviously have interviewed very well because you've got some good jobs. Can you tell our listeners, Phil and I go way back. He knew my father, so we have a tremendous connection. But Phil, can you share with the listeners why you are so uniquely gifted to share your experience and your wisdom in Ask Me Anything?
Well, it started a long time ago. I've been in industry for 60 years. And when I started to interview myself, I ended up not knowing exactly what to do. And then part of my job was being a college recruiter and an executive for a Fortune 500 company for 38 years. And as I interviewed and was trained to be a recruiter, I realized that people just were not prepared. And I started to give back and offer my services as a professor and as actually as an executive. I'd help some of my employees to interview for other jobs. And it was successful, and it helped them. And I find that people just need some encouragement because no one tells them how to interview. Everyone tells them how to answer questions, but no one tells them how to interview and feel comfortable during an interview. So
I love it. And for our listeners out there, when you see this, we have a picture up there. But when we say a tremendous edge, that's the latest in our little series of mini booklets. So this is concise, it's compact, it's the tip of the spear, it's the edge that you need to stick out above your peers, and it's wisdom that you can read, review, process. Phil, I love how you open the book and talk about your first interview and how it was a traumatic event. And so share with our listeners kind of what you went through.
Well, it's just like everyone else at that time. You look at the books, you look at the information that you can get, and I read to give good eye contact during an interview. So there I was in my first interview, and the thing that many people don't realize is the interview that you want the best is usually the first one that you do. So you really don't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. So I had my suit on, I got there, I was in Philadelphia on the big boulevard, and I went up to the floor and I went in and I sat down and had my interview, and I was giving good eye contact to the point where I was staring at his eye, and I said to myself, now what do? I think I'm hypnotizing myself. So at that point, I tried to move my eyes away from him, and I was self-conscious, and it was a distraction. So I realized right then and there that even though I had read the books and I thought I knew what I wanted to do, I didn't know what I had to do. And so I used that experience to then teach other people and to share my experiences. And then when I was trained as a college recruiter, we worked with psychologists for a long time. We worked with human resources, and we came up with all these different ways to go and evaluate people, to look at them, to go and get an idea as to what their strengths and weaknesses were. And they actually gave us some techniques to go and use to go and sort of throw the candidate off. Now, we don't try to do anything nasty, but you have to be prepared. And what I'm hoping to do is to share that knowledge and to go and get people to look at how they go and prepare so that when they go in, they can say, this is not your interview, this is my interview, ask me anything. And they're going to be nervous, but they're going to be better prepared, and they're going to know what words they're going to say, how they're going to sound, and it will then allow them to go and really do the best that they can. And that's all I want, is to go and make people feel comfortable in their interviewing process.
Well, for the readers out there, you're going to want to get copies for everybody, give it as a gift. The thing that I love about it is it really helps build up the not just comfortable, but confident. And Phil really unpacks, you're not just looking at the other company to, kind of, cram the night before, I'm going to learn everything I can, but you're also doing introspection into yourself to find out, is this going to be a good partnership? And that's in the field of leadership, that's where I really realized, leaders, make sure that the people you're bringing on, really, this is a good fit. And your book really goes into that. You do some pre-work where you really examine what you bring to the table, what you've been through, and then you look at the entity and say, is this going to be a good fit? And I really love that about the book. Can you speak to that a little bit, Phil?
Well, what I found was, see, I'm a professor in strategic management, and I do business ethics, and I do business communications, international business, advertising, marketing. So I'm always looking at different ways to approach the subject. And strategic management is important for ourselves as long and our business. And one of the tools that we have is called a SWOT analysis: your strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. So what I do is I incorporate the strategic management planning into the book. And most people won't do that. They'll just go and tell people, memorize these answers and go in there and sit there and hope that they ask the questions. What I want people to do is look at their strengths. And then I go and take their analysis and I use the selling proposition, which is the marketing class. So features turn into benefits. The companies are buying benefits. They have a problem. They want someone who can solve problems, who's a good communicator, and someone that can get along. That's the main thing. Now, they may have specific things they want you to have in training or education or background, but those are the main things. So your features, your strengths are what you would go and be able to go and talk about with confidence. Now, just today, this morning at 10 o'clock, I was dealing with a client, and he said to me, well, how do I go and respond to the fact that I really didn't do anything the last 2 summers of my college career? So he saw that as a weakness, but he didn't know how to address it. So I said to him, well, what did you do? And he said, well, I honed my skills in a particular area. I worked on this project. I did this and I did that. And then this summer, after I graduated, I took a human resource course, and I took a financial management course after I graduated to better myself. I said, there's your weakness turned into a strength. It makes you completely different than everyone else. Most people don't understand that we are all special. We are all experiencing our lives differently than anyone else. So you can't go into an interview and try to answer it based on what you think they want. Obviously, you're going to do your strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats, looking at the company, trying to figure out what the job posting is asking for, and you're going to try to match up. But what you have to understand is you've experienced life differently. So your story is different. So you have to tell your story in a way that gives good examples, because when the day is over, all they're going to do is remember the guy with the example about what he did during the summer, the woman who went on the trip and experienced an overseas service project. They're going to remember the examples. And if we just go and give them what they think they want, they're going to say you're the same as everyone else. And that's what will make you comfortable if you're talking about yourself. And most people don't like to talk about themselves. They think it's bragging. And so when I talk to a client, I'll say, so what's the first question? Well, tell me about yourself.
Right.
So when I say to you, tell me about yourself, well, I did this and I did that, and they're looking around and they don't really know the strengths that they have and what makes them special until they sit down and think about it.
Right.
And
right.
once they think about it, they can go out then and do that. And that's what I'm hoping for people to do.
I love it. Well, for the listeners out there, Phil doesn't just talk about the preparation, he does before, during, and after. So, talk
Mhm.
about, Phil, when you're in the interview. I know you talk a lot about the prep work, but you even guide people in actually closing the deal, going in for the ask. Can you
Right.
talk a little bit about that?
Sure. People that I work with say no one's ever told us this, and you don't see it in any books.
Correct.
But if you go and talk to the hiring managers, 9 out of 10 hiring managers will say if the person doesn't have enough confidence to ask for the job, I don't need them in my organization, because they want someone who is confident enough to evaluate the situation and to go and take the job. Now, what I do is I try to prepare people or ask them to look at all the things. What happens if they throw a salary out? What if they want you to go to the home office? Have you looked at the home office? Have you Googled around and walked on the streets,
Hmm.
even on your web? Uh, do you know everything about the company? And if not, then you have to ask questions. How did you handle COVID? What did you learn? Are you still remote? What is your relocation? Those types of things most people won't ask. But you should be preparing yourself to ask those questions so that if they make the job offer, you can say yes or no. But if they don't make the job offer, the last question they're going to always ask is, do you have any questions
Right.
or anything else you want to add? And that's when you sit back and say, I hope you saw from my examples, and you can list your examples that are your strengths, that I can make a difference in this organization. And I would like to have the opportunity to show you how I can do that. You're asking for the job in a soft, very professional manner, not putting them on the spot. But that hiring manager is saying, this person will come with us. That's what their job is, to find the person that's going to fill the opening.
Hmm.
And if you're going to sit there and say, no, I think I'm fine, I have everything, they're going to not see how committed you are to
Yes,
really going after this job.
I
So
know.
making a good closing is as important as a good opening. And
Yes.
that's what I try to go and tell people.
I love it. And that is tough. Like you said, sometimes we feel like we're bragging, and I don't know, I don't want to put them on the spot. Yes, own it, be confident. And in
Right.
doing the prep work that Phil takes you through, you're going to be like, I'm here to make all your dreams come true. And you're just going to have that nice confidence, and that they can ask you anything. And then lastly, Phil even talks about the follow-up after the interview. The deal ain't done yet. You're not signed on the dotted line. Talk a little bit about that, Phil.
Well, it's important if you go and look at the statistics, and even if as a hiring manager, if someone sent me a note or they went and sent me an email or a call to go and see how the hiring process was going, I saw the interest, which was either given to me at the closing,
Mhm.
which piqued my interest. And I tell people, buy the thank you cards ahead of time, put your stamp on it, put your return address, ask for the business card. Before you get in your car to go home, you write that thank you card out and drop it in the mail. And they get it the next day and they say, son of a gun. They're thanking me already. And it makes the difference. It shows how professional you are. It shows how well you're confident about yourself and how you can approach and how well you communicate.
Mhm.
Now, some people say they don't like to mail things. Well, if you want to go and email, that's fine,
Right.
but it has to be specific. And you should go and give a little bit of time, a couple hours or so, the night after the interview or the next morning, and express an interest in hearing from them. And that goes along with 85% of people who say they've had follow up thank yous will rethink about that applicant again. So
Yes.
it's very
Yes.
important.
Top of mind, top of, because you're competing. Right.
Right.
I love it. Well, it's so funny because we got taught that in the military academies. When you go to somebody's house or invited as a guest, you already have the card, look at their mailbox. So you're not like, oh, I don't know their address. And this is back before we had Google and stuff like that. Write it down and then you put it in the mail the next day. I got a wedding gift shipped yesterday. My marriage was 20 months ago, but I went right that night and I found my little thank you cards and I put it in. It's a good habit to be
Yeah.
in. You know,
Yes.
it shows that you care. And then it's done. It's done. And it really does make a fabulous final impression because so few
Mhm.
people do it. And ask me anything, it's just going to be yet another reminder. Oh man, that person knew us. They want to be part of us, and they're going to be a great fit for us.
Yeah, I heard the old saying that no one thanks you for anything anymore. So if you do a little bit, just a little bit of follow up, it makes so much difference. And they're going to remember you from your examples and your professionalism, asking for the job and your follow up. And that's all you can ask.
I
And
love
then
it.
the decision is up to them. So,
All right. Well, folks, you heard it from Phil Hess. Phil, how can people reach out to you? We'll have all this stuff on the website, and I'll talk about where they can get the book. But tell people about your website, where they can reach out to you, because I'm sure they're going to want to talk to you or have somebody that they know reach out to you.
sure. And the thing of it is, the book is for high school, it's for first time job seekers out of college, and it's for people that are moving from one to another or even looking for promotion. So people have said to me, oh, I give your services as a gift. So for a graduate. So if you want to get up with me, it's Phil Hess UCC at Gmail. And then I opened up a .com, which is Upward Career Counseling. So that is going to be, it's up and running, and I'm going to have some information for you on those sites to go and try to go and work you through the interview process. So we're looking to go and talk to as many people as we can.
Well, I love it. And I'm glad you brought that up because as Phil was talking and he said this, boom, this is when you have tremendous conversations, the people you meet and the books you read. Phil, you probably know this, but we're starting a women-owned bank, and we have our interview with the OCC folks to see about our approval later this month. And so I'm thinking about your book, and not just about I have to understand all the right answers I'm supposed to have, but what is my passion in bringing it and the other board members and founding members. So I'm going to be back in touch with you to get that because we want to talk about us as much as we want to talk about, hey, we know what we're doing and what you're going to do
Sure.
for us. So I think anybody, anytime, I just love that it's the congruence of I'm here, you're here, but together we're better. And that's the meaning of life. And that is what employers are really looking for.
Right. And the connection with so many jobs available and so many people looking for jobs, there has to be a disconnect between
Right.
your information and what they're looking for, because people should be able to get jobs easier than they do, but they're always uptight. They're worried about what's going to be asked. But if you go in comfortably and say, ask me anything,
Mhm.
you can at least walk away saying I did my very best. And
Right.
that's all you can ask for. That's all.
And you get better. And for the readers out there, Phil does have sample questions in there. You can find that stuff online, but he's got a couple of examples of just kind of whimsical little things they may throw your way, just so you're not surprised at anything. You don't want to be surprised. You want to be confident. You want to be calm. You get this, and you will be. So for the viewers out there, you can pick this up on Tremendous Leadership. You can pick this on Amazon. You make sure get out there because this is going to be a #1 new release. We're so excited about it. And Phil, I just can't thank you enough for distilling over 60 years of wisdom into this little booklet that if people can take the time to read is going to put them on a trajectory to change their lives. Thank you so much for doing
Yeah.
that.
Well, thank you for having me today. It's been a pleasure, and it's just been a dream to go because I've helped people so many times throughout the years, and now I'm hoping to really go and make an impact on people's lives.
All right.
And you've been a big help for that, and I thank you, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about my story.
Absolutely. Okay. Thanks to our tremendous tribe out there. We so appreciate you. Be sure and check out Phil's book today. Bye-bye.
Bye.